fantasy football season approaching and drafts for fantasy owners in the next few weeks. Here's a breakdown of the 5th pick overall and the players I picked and the strategy I used. So to start it off, if you saw my video with the 4th pick overall, Justin Jefferson I took. And here, 5th overall, Justin Jefferson for him once again. It's very close, no doubt about it, between Jefferson and Gibbs. But I think Jefferson, he could have another great season, even with McCarthy at quarterback. And to get him 5th overall, I think it's a good landing spot, is Justin Jefferson. So I got him locked in. He's my number 2 wide receiver overall behind Jamar Chase. And to get him 5th overall is pretty good value, in my opinion. So then, after that, Bucky Irvin at the 2A position. Bucky Irvin, a great rookie season last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anything with Irvin, that could be a little bit of a struggle, obviously. He's a small running back. Rashad White, he's there as well, where he's one of the better catching backs out of the backfield in all pro football. But Bucky Irvin last season, like I said, a great rookie year. I still believe he could get anywhere from 250, 260 touches total this season is Irvin. And to get him in the back end of the second round, I think is good value for Bucky Irvin. Then 3rd round, to see Josh Allen there in the mid-3rd round. I'm not high on getting quarterbacks early, but if you see a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson there in that mid-3rd round, I think you go out there and make the move. Josh Allen, we know yearly, he's going to get tons of rushing yards. He's got the big arm. He's going to get a lot of points on the board. In my opinion, very close with him and Lamar as the 1 and 2 quarterbacks in fantasy football. But like I said, I'm not really big on getting quarterbacks early in fantasy drafts, but when you got, top echelon quarterback and a guarantee like a Lamar and Josh Allen, you go out there and every time, especially in about the mid-3rd round, and get him. Then I went running back once again, Amari and Hampton at the 4-8 position. I'm big on Hampton coming into the year, but for him to fall with 4-8, it's very surprising because I believe as the weeks go on and we inch closer to fantasy drafts, he's going to move up the ranking boards. Najee Harris right now banged up in training camp. I'm practicing his Najee Harris. Amari Hampton, they got in the 2nd round. This kid, he's going to get a lot of work. And Harris, we've seen him over the last few seasons. Yards per carry are way down. He don't catch the football out of the backfield at all. And he don't have a lot of pop or explosiveness. So Hampton, as the weeks go on, like I said, he's going to move up the draft board. But to get him in the 4th round is a steal. But like I said, late 2nd, early 3rd, I could see him in the next few weeks. Then I have in the receiver position, Zay Flowers, another good value in the middle of the 5th round here. Flowers, number 1 wide receiver on this Baltimore offense. That's going to be high-powered offense once again. Lamar, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and his deep ball's been getting better as well over the last few seasons. I know there's some weeks, Zay Flowers, he isn't consistent, but I think this season and going into his 3rd year, he could go out there and really have a breakout. Then 6th round, Travis Hunter. I think Hunter, he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver. And early on the depth chart, he's more of a backup corner, and they're going to use him as a receiver early and often. That's a good 1-2 combo with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter, explosive in college, 2-way player, obviously, receiver and corner. But I think he's going to be more of a wideout, and he's got that breakaway speed and playmaking ability. So to have him as a 3rd receiver / flex option, and I got to get in the 6th round who has upside to being a 3rd or 4th rounder points per game wise this season. I think it's a good value for Hunter there. Then I go Travis Kelce at the 7-5 position. Rashee Rice, I believe he's going to be suspended at least 3-4 games for this Chief team, and we're just waiting for that to come down and see what happens with that. But Kelce last season, still over 90 catches. I know he's in the latter part of his career, 35 years old as Kelce, but still the number 1 target. And in big situations, him and Mahomes always find ways to go out there and make plays. I think Kelce this season, this will probably be his last season where he puts up impact numbers, but still to get a tight end who gets a lot of targets and a lot of receptions yearly, even if the yards per game and the touchdowns are down. I like Kelce in the 7th, 8th round. Jaden Reed, I still think he's the number 1 wide receiver there for the Packers. I know they drafted Matthew Golden. I know Romeo Doubs is still there as well. Latavian Wicks and Christian Watson, even though he's banged up already. What else is new in training camp? Jaden Reed, he showed explosiveness. You can line him up in different spots in the formation. And to have him as my number 4 wide receiver, I think that's good value. Like if I went into the season with Reed starting, especially in this format with 2 receivers and a flex, I don't think it'd be good value. But to have him come off the bench, I think it's a good bench play and a good bye week fill in Ramondre Stevenson in the 9th round. Stevenson, last year, it was a down year, no doubt about it. They drafted Henderson, who was his Patriot team in the 2nd round. But I still think Stevenson in the early going, at least, is going to get work for this Patriot team, and still short yardage and goal line type of back, and he still could catch the football out of the backfield. So as a backup, Stevenson, and someone as a depth piece, and who knows, he could have a good season. They did sign him to a contract extension last offseason before the season started with Stevenson, so I don't think he's going to be totally out of the mix here for this Patriot team. And still running back for value, 10th round, Cooper Kupp last 2 seasons injuries, and he's definitely lost a step. Got him cut loose by the Los Angeles Rams, where he was a Triple Crown winner only 3-4 seasons ago and helped them winning a Super Bowl. Now in division rival in the NFC West with the Seattle Seahawks. Kupp, we'll see if he has anything left in the tank. Obviously, second franchise he's only ever played with now with Seattle. Sam Darnold in his first year with the Seattle Seahawks team. And we saw Darnold last year. He was throwing that ball all over the yard with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison in the games he was healthy, TJ Hawkinson. And this Seattle offense, I still think it's good. You got JSN, number 1 receiver, Cooper Kupp, and then out of the backfield, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, a nice 1-2 combo. So I think Kupp, especially in the 10th round, he's not going to be a starter for you. He's going to be a backup. I think it's good value there. Ray Davis, one of the better handcuff running backs in fantasy football, in my opinion. Ray Davis last year, we saw the game he filled in for James Cook on a Monday night at the New York Jets. He had a big game. So Davis, a physical running back in between the tackles, could catch the football a little bit. And James Cook, he's had some contract dispute as well, where we'll see what happens with that. But like I said, handcuffs are important, and you start taking players in these later rounds, 11th round on. And Davis could be a lottery ticket, especially if Cook goes down. He could be a top 15 running back this season. Then the 12th round, I went Trey Harris. And these rounds are where you get those handcuffs and the young rookies with potential to break out. So in training camp right now, Harris, he's the number 3 wide receiver behind Wad McConkey and Quentin Johnston. But in my opinion, we've seen Quentin Johnston now over the last few years. He'll have some decent games here and there, but the drops have been an issue for him. His route running isn't that crisp. I know he was a first-round pick a few years ago from this Charger team, but I think Trey Harris, as the year goes on, definitely could step in to that number 2 wide receiver role and someone to keep an eye on. I'm not saying early in the season, but mid to late season is where Harris possibly could get more reps and be a fantasy option. And then to round it out, Jaden Blue of the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, the 3rd-string running back on the depth chart is Jaden Blue. But to be honest, with Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, 2 veterans ahead of him, I don't think it's going to take a lot. If Blue could have a good, preseason and training camp, and then one of these guys go down or really struggle, and they need some help in the running game where Jaden Blue could catch the football out of the backfield as well. I think Blue could be decent for this Dallas Cowboy team. Like I said, that running back room, in my opinion, is wide open. And that's what the Cowboys need, a running back that could be consistent and put up numbers, because we know they're set with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens they traded for, Jake Ferguson giving him the extension. So Jaden Blue definitely could be a deep sleeper for fantasy owners. In the final roster, Josh Allen at quarterback, 3rd round, couldn't go wrong there. Justin Jefferson, 5th overall. I like the spot for him where he's my number 4 ranked player overall. Zay Flowers, entering his 3rd year, maybe could be a monster year for him as my number 2 receiver. I'm not in love with Flowers as my number 2 receiver. I prefer him a flex or a number 3 receiver. But like I said, I went Josh Allen, threw things off a little bit. It's that receiver. The slack's got to be picked up a little bit. Bucky Irvin, 2nd round. He's my number 1 back. We'll see if Irvin can repeat it once again after last year having a monster year. Marion Hampton, he could have a monster rookie season. Chargers are high on him. And with Harris banged up in training camp, I think Hampton, he's going to take the job and run with it and not look back. Travis Kelce, I still think he has one more good season left in him. And to get him in the 7th round, the guy's going to get targets. He's going to catch a lot of passes, which is obviously a big thing for PPR leagues. Travis Hunter, he could have a monster rookie year as well. Breakaway speed, home run hitting ability is Hunter. And it looks like he's going to be that number 2 wide receiver where he's going to be playing corner sporadically, where he's going to be majority of the time lining up as Hunter. So to get Hunter in that 6th round, I think was a good value. Jaden Reed off the bench, I think it could be a bounce-back season for him. A couple years ago, had a good year. Last year, it was up and down with the Green Bay Packers. But like I said, you need depth, and I think Reed is good depth. Stevenson still going to get reps, still going to get work in that backfield. I don't think Henderson from day one is just going to be the running back, and Stevenson will be sitting on the bench, like I said, signing that extension last year as well. Then Cooper Kupp, 5th wide receiver, can't go wrong there. And who knows, Kupp with a change of scenery and obviously not a lot of expectations over there in Seattle. A lot of turnover with Metcalf trading. Pete Carroll, he was gone a couple years ago as the head coach, and now bringing in Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp could surprise and have a bounce back year. So to get him in the 10th round was a good move. Ray Davis, one of the better handcuff backs in the league. You need depth on the roster. Take one of these guys late and see what happens. They're a lottery ticket type of play. Trey Harris could step in, like I said, in the second half of the year, or even earlier with an injury to Evan Johnson or Ladd McConkey. Harris, three receiver on the depth chart. And like I said, in these later parts of the drafts is where I take the young players. And Jaden Blue, another lottery ticket. This Cowboy backfield, I'm not totally sold. Williams and Sanders can hold the job up all season long. And Blue, they took him in the 4th round. Was a established Cowboy team, and he definitely could be a big sleeper for fantasy owners, and someone, if he could step right into an offense with all these weapons, could have a big year. He could be a big surprise, I think, in the second half of the year. So with the 5th pick, that's the breakdown, and with the roster I have, and I think on paper it's pretty good. Just Zay Flowers in that second receiver role and Travis Hunter at the flex position. We'll see how it shakes out, but that's why you always got to draft for depth. And obviously I'm strong, I think, at running back and quarterback, my 2 positions. The 5th pick draft breakdown entering the 2025 fantasy football season.